And although he does not like to be called an enlightened man or a guru, people flock from all walks of life to listen to him. Let's share his thoughts this morning.
Hello there, and welcome to, if I might parody the title of a well-known book by now, a disquieting conversation with UG Krishnamurti, who is already making waves in the sphere of philosophy, for want of a better word. I'm very careful with the words I choose when I'm talking to UG, because one of the problems, as I understand from the little I've read and seen and heard of you, is that we have to unlearn a lot that we have learned over years, over generations, over history. Is that a priority in your opinion for the present mankind?
I really don't know where to begin or where to end, but I know where to end.
Right.
May I be a bit frivolous and start this conversation, or whatever you want to call it, with a story? That would be most appropriate for the breakfast show, or whatever you want to call it. I'm not good at narrating stories, but I will try. Once upon a time, long time ago.
That's how all stories begin.
That's how all stories begin. There lived a very great painter, known for his extraordinary genius in painting things. The king of that particular kingdom where he lived invited him one day and asked him to paint the picture of Israelites crossing the Red Sea and the destruction of Egyptian pursuers. That fellow happened to be a sort of a lazy lout. He never did what he promised to do. It went on and on and on. Finally, the king asked him to present himself with a painting. When he found that further excuses were of no avail, the king was taken to a carefully shrouded canvas and unrolled it. There was nothing but a splash of red paint on it. The king was furious and asked him, "What is this all about?" He said, "Sir, it is very simple. The Israelites have crossed the sea.
Right.
What the dickens has happened to the Egyptian pursuers? Drowned was the answer."
Right.
So I have a great feeling to follow that example and say nothing and walk out.
Right.
But there is such a thing as elementary manners and common decency, and we find ourselves here to discuss what I really don't know.
Right.
And I always repeat this at the risk of finding myself very repetitive. I really don't know what I'm going to say, and I'm here like a puppet, and it's up to you to pull the strings and bring out whatever you think you can bring out of this puppet.
Right, let me try. That's
right.
Quite a formidable task, but let me try. Would it be right to say that your position on your observation and your message, if I might call it that, is that one has to react to situations. One doesn't really create situations.
May I say a few things before we go into that subject? I'm not here crusader with any cause. I have been blamed very often that I am debunking everything from disease to divinity. And I'm not propagating anything. I'm just an ordinary man in whom something extraordinary happened. As a little boy, I got interested in one very important thing. I found that whatever I wanted was what they wanted me to want. Whatever I thought about was what they wanted me to think about. And is there anything that I want what they do not want me to want? Or is there anything that I want to think which they want me to think? This intrigued me for years and years and years. I wanted to find an answer for myself and by myself. I must admit that without hesitation I have learned nothing from either the spiritual teachers or the secular teachers, except the basic things that we need to learn to function sanely and intelligently in this world. although I question the reality of this world, the reality of our existence, I do have to accept the reality that is imposed on us as functional. Otherwise, we cannot function sanely and intelligently.
Right.
But I wanted an answer for this question of mine. Right. Is there anything I want other than what they wanted me to want? Even this want is part of that wanting. I don't know if I make myself clear.
Yes, but I have a problem there. When you say that there is nothing you have possibly learned from antecedent teachers or messengers or whatever, isn't that again a subjective statement? Because unconscious to oneself, isn't man a product, isn't man determined by history, by technology, by environment?
True, but there is nothing that you can do to free yourself through any volition or effort of yours. Somewhere along the line, when I found that I had no way of finding any answers for my questions, nobody helped me. In that situation, something hit me. All your life you have been searching for answers. And all the questions which I ever posed myself and threw at others are born out of the answers that I already had. So the problem is to free myself from the answers, because these questions are born out of the answers which are there. And I didn't have the courage, I didn't have the guts to brush aside all the answers that these great teachers provided me with. But yet, that was absolutely necessary. There was nothing that I could do about it. One day, out of nowhere as it were, something hit me like the shaft of a lightning. Or if I may use something like an earthquake, which shattered everything built through centuries. And I will say that freed me. I don't like the word free. From everything that every man thought, felt, and experienced before me. What I was left with was something I really do not know. And what is there is the expression of life, which is expressing itself in an extraordinary way, using very simple things like thought for functional purposes, and not using that to achieve any goals, spiritual or otherwise, however extraordinary they may be. So what I am trying to put across to those who care to listen to me, I have no illusions that they are interested in what I am going to say or what I have been saying.
But they are interested, that's why you're here.
Maybe let's see how the viewers will react. And it is not a logically ascertained premise. It is not born out of thinking. So what is coming out of this individual seems to be very mystifying and intriguing. But you are the one that is bringing out whatever I want to say. But I have said a lot even without you were throwing questions.
No, you have. I think I think the parameters are becoming very clear. When you say what seems to me that you have perforce or by sheer spontaneity of events had to start out on a clean slate, as it were, with nothing of the past or nothing of the future holding you down. Aren't you but in a world where tradition, where accumulated knowledge accounts for something, for our cumulative knowledge, our experience of the known and the unknown, or attempt at the unknown.
That is really the stranglehold which the culture has put in there.
Right.
And it is that has created the problem for us. So the demand to free ourselves from that stranglehold of thought, centuries of accumulated experiences, cannot be done through any volition of your own or through any effort of your own. But how this happened to a particular individual is anybody's guess. Not that I was preparing myself for this kind of a thing. What I wanted was totally different. I wanted to be an enlightened man. I wanted to live in peace, bliss, beatitude, and all that kind of a thing. What is there in its place is something which cannot be captured, contained, and given expression to. It cannot be shared with anybody because it is not in the area of an experience. And what actually happened to me was the very demand to be free from anything isn't there anymore. So I have no way of telling myself that I'm a free man, that I'm an enlightened man, that I'm this, that, and the other. And I don't see any need even to tell the world
Yes.
that there is some way you can function in this world, because it is something that cannot be shared with anybody. You may very well ask me the question, why the hell? I'm sorry to use the word hell, it's all right. Do I even try to give expression to this? But the impetus even to share this with anybody is missing. And yet, if anybody who is interested in listening to what I have said, and nobody is asked to come and nobody is asked to go, but if a situation arises where there is something that we can do to put across what this is all about and make him see the absurdity of what the whole culture has done to us. It is not that you will become an anti-culturist, if I may use that word, or that you destroy everything that has been created, that you don't go around tearing down the religious scriptures or all the other scriptures, but the situation you find in yourself is something that anything of the past, however extraordinary it may be, cannot touch and contaminate it anymore. So whatever is there is able to express itself in its own way. I said my piece.
Yes.
Now,
but isn't there a problem in this? At one level, yes, this is to me, when I use this term, of course, eminently anti-status quoist, or anti-normative, if you like, what we understand to be the extant culture or extant norm and so on. But at the other level, I have a problem with this, because this is precisely the kind of argument that can be used to reinforce status quo. To say that if 40% of our population is below the poverty line, it is because it is...
It is because of what we have believed for centuries, that why is it not possible with all the high-tech and technology that we have at our disposal to solve this basic human problem? I'm only asking a question, but you may very well ask me the question, what is your answer? Those who are put in the place where they have to deal with this problem, which is a very important problem, if they don't do, it is for them to tell them you have got to do it. So what I'm trying to emphasize is that it is that has created the problem for us. And we all find ourselves in a neurotic situation because it is the very same thing that has created you and me for the sole main purpose of maintaining its continuity, its own status quo, has also given us the idea that we should be free, that we should be individual. So what I am trying to say is that there is no freedom of action there because we have to function within that framework. But why we are in conflict with that framework, why we are in conflict with that status quo, why we are trying to change it into a better and a happier place, this world cannot be anything other than what it is.
I think why? Because in our context, because we are living in an unequal world. Wouldn't that be one of the primary reasons that we are living in?
But there is a way and there is something that we can do to solve that problem. If we have not solved, we are answerable to that thing. To whom, you may very well ask me the question. So what is responsible for that is that we have introduced an element of doing something for those people, and we have taken away everything that belongs to everybody. And we have invented this thing called kindness, you see. Those kindly deeds have done the most harshest and unkindly deeds in the history of mankind. It was almost a gospel truth for me when I repeated that loving action will inevitably lead you to the temple of divine wisdom. I was brought up on that principle. And in the name of love, we have destroyed hundreds and thousands of people. And so that cannot be the answer for these problems. And we have to keep asking questions, and all our questions spring from the answers we already have. I'm doing all the talking. This is supposed to be an interview.
No, but is a retreat from action, is a retreat from the loving principle, if you like to call it that, or from the humanitarian principle, or from trying to create an egalitarian society, the answer?
No, that is not the answer. What I am trying to say is why you are in conflict with this society in which we are functioning.
Yeah.
I am not in conflict with that society
Yeah.
because that is all that is there.
Yeah.
And anything you want to do to change it into a better world, and a happier world, is the one that is responsible for the tragedy of mankind. If humanity has to save itself from the chaos of its own making, what is necessary is that it should save itself and free itself from the saviors of mankind. So anything anybody suggests adds to the list of these saviors of mankind. It is not actually solving the problem. What I am emphasizing is that individually there isn't a thing that we can do. It doesn't mean that we accept the defeat and sit quiet and retire into a jungle and do what? I don't know. This is the world, this is the only reality, and I have to function in this world. And deal with this world exactly the way it is, and not superimpose on that the idea of heaven, the idea of a utopia and all that.
Yeah. No, I have no brief for, religious, spiritual leaders or ideas of heaven or hell and so on. But I have a problem with our existence, I mean, I'm sure all of us have a problem with our existence. When you step out of the studio, you're facing that problem. Right? Even if you get into a car or you have to walk and cross a road, you're facing that problem. Now, in such a context, what is the essence of this philosophy that you're advocating? Is it quietism?
No.
Is it existentialism?
No.
Is it nihilism?
No.
Then what is it?
What it is very difficult to say. Why the human existence has become hopeless, I am not using that term in any existentialist sense, is because we have been made to believe that there is an answer for our problems. What basically is the quest of human being in this world, whether he is a Russian or an American or an African or an Indian, the basic demand, the basic quest is for the significance, quest for happiness, quest for permanent pleasure.
But the basic quest, I can say, is for a square meal a day in the Indian context.
There is no excuse for us to allow that kind of a thing.
Absolutely, I agree with you.
And what is the answer?
And therefore, shouldn't anything we say be...
What I'm suggesting is that all the political systems that we have today, they are the warty outgrowths of the same religious thinking of man.
Right, okay.
No, I'm not against religion, please don't get me wrong. And so the political systems have entrenched themselves, and that there is nothing that we can do. See, the future of mankind, the future of the world, rests in the hands of the leaders of mankind today. No longer in the church, no longer in the religious thinking of man. They are most anxious to see that these political systems fail and ready to step in and exploit the situation.
Sure.
So, we have put them all in the seat of power. They are not only there in the seat of power, they share power with others, and we have entrusted them with most powerful weapons. And what is it that they will not do to put themselves there where they are forever? And if that is questioned, if that is challenged, what they will do is anybody's business.
So, while one agrees that I think one agrees with your basic premise that there is no excuse for allowing the kinds of things that are going on to continue. But at the same time, we do not propose an alternative scheme of things. So I'm sure there are problems, there are distortions in the way mankind goes about its business. But is the answer again stepping back? Shouldn't there be a more dynamic principle to tackle this?
But what is it what is it that you are talking about? Individually, there isn't a thing that you can do. I'm not advocating any revolutionary action because revolution is nothing but a revaluation of our value system. They create another value system. Although they have solved this problem in communist countries, food, clothing and shelter, the basic needs are taken care of. But the whole system as a system is failing. For whatever reasons, we don't want to go into that. So the revolution is not the answer for that. One and the only revolution is not the answer for it. But individually we have to ask...
It can be a step, perhaps. A revolution can be a step in the right direction.
But that demands another revolution. So when once the revolution fails, there is a tendency to look back. that is what we do. Anybody who looks back for the answer, for the situation in which we find ourselves, whether it is in the field of politics or in the field of science or in the field of psychology, you have no future to offer to such people.
Right.
So looking back is not the answer. Revive. There is a tendency there in the United States, back to Jesus, back to the great heritage of India. And when these people throw those things at me, the great heritage of India, we are all the products of that great heritage of India. If this is what the great heritage of India has produced,
in India, yes. Yes.
They are not going to listen to us.
Right.
You know, the spiritual greatness, the spiritual land and all that kind of stuff.
Makes no sense if you can't close 40,
Exactly.
give 2 square meals to 40% of the
Yes,
population.
I'm not questioning the leaders of our country. 42 years of freedom. We cannot blame British for the conditions. But you see, they always throw this question, what is it that you are doing? You know, they want alternatives. They want, this is too negative, what you are saying. And as I see it, I can hazard an opinion. It's whatever is created has to be destroyed. Somewhere along the line, this self-consciousness occurred in the human species. This is what I'm trying to emphasize always. And that separated the human species from the rest of the species on this planet.
Right.
And that is the beginning of, you see, what you call the isolated existence of this man.
Right.
And that is where the whole demand that he is something different from the rest of the species, and that the whole thing is created for the benefit of mankind. Anything that is born out of thought. Thought is all that we have. We don't have anything else. But we are not ready to accept the fact that that can create problems and cannot solve the problems. Is something which we are not ready to accept.
Well, thank you very much, Yuji. I suppose this is only a slice of, again, in the same simile of an entire continuum. We can only probably look at a slice here in this short while given to us on television. But thank you so much for being with us on behalf of our viewers.
Thank you for having me on this show. Thank you. Bye-bye. 20 minutes?
धारावाहिक